Welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. Baloch Sindhi activists protest against Pakistan Foreign Minister's visit to UK. Idemitsu Kosan provides brain MRI facility at gas stations in Japan. And gods come out to meet devotees in famous Indian temple during Aratu procession. Let's begin the show. 26th Conference of the Parties or COP26, which concluded recently in Glasgow, has revisited the Paris pledges of 2015. However, not without drama or controversy. While the phrase phase down instead of phase out in the final draft regarding the cutting down on coal emissions triggered a bad press for the developing countries, the leaders and experts in these nations, including those in India and Bangladesh, have outrightly called out the hypocrisy of developed nations, who they say have not obliged in assisting the former in order to meet the climate changes.
Coal, a fossil fuel that is responsible for 40% of CO2 emission globally, was discussed for the first time in the 26th session of Conference of the Parties in Glasgow. This was also the unprecedented conference where countries came together to pledge net zero emission, an initiative to cut down fossil fuel usage and move towards technology-driven clean energy in coming years. Major calls were also taken on deforestation, methane emission and financing of poor countries that cannot meet the commitments with resources they have. However, the questions that have been raised by several observers and experts from developing countries are more than just pertinent. While many say it was merely a PR exercise that might not materialize its aim of capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius, others refer to it as a calibrated effort to prevent developing nations reaching where the developed have already reached. A New Delhi-based environmentalist, Vimlendu Jha, opines that India should have never signed the charter, for it will prevent it from growth.
It is important to address the issue of coal locally as well and globally. The last-minute drama indeed was about equity, how developing nations actually have a right to develop. As in, we cannot really sign up to net zero so immediately or make such huge climate commitments where there's right to grow or right to life, which is as paramount in a country like India, where there is the energy deficit per capita. Energy consumption of most Indians is very, very less.
Developing countries argue that rich nations whose historical emissions are largely responsible for warming the planet must finance their efforts both to transition away from fossil fuels and to adapt to increasingly severe climate impacts. The deal offered a promise to double adaptation finance by 2025 from 2019, but no guarantees have been given. Earlier, the developed countries had committed to finance the developing nations with $100 billion every year in order to make the efficient transition. They haven't delivered on that promise. A UN committee will report next year on progress towards the same, and the finance will then be discussed again in 2024 and 2026. Bangladesh has called the conference a massive failure, where countries like it were not given any solution and instead were burdened with fancy propositions.
We'll bring it up again. We're not giving up, but we are describing this COP as an abject failure because it hasn't been able to rise to the occasion of dealing with loss and damage. It doesn't matter what else they do. That was our issue. The poor countries, the vulnerable countries came here for that, and they've been slapped in the face by the presidents.
While COP26 was an opportunity where the pledges made under the Paris Climate Agreement could have been given a feasible blueprint for coming years, it has not been accepted on expected lines. The goal is to keep cutting emissions until they reach net zero by mid-century, but the developed countries that established themselves on the very same principles want other fastest growing developing economies to be denied that privilege. A case study could be India, whose primary energy source is coal, but the per capita consumption is far below other countries. How can it be asked to control its emissions when the developed world has failed in meeting its commitments? Same goes for Bangladesh, one of the fastest growing economies after India. Leaders might have compulsions to fall in line with the international agendas, but the experts and people have clearly called the COP26 a failure, a massive failure. For now, just wait for the next year's COP27 summit in Egypt, where these objections might receive some traction and, more importantly, the action.
Today, if the human rights violations had a face, it would be a fusion of the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan and his Army General Qamar Javed Bajwa. Pakistani leaders have resorted to brutality to not just rein in those who do not fall in line, but have used it as their primary tool to suppress and eliminate those they don't identify as similar to themselves. Whether it is Kashmiris, Baloch, Sindhis or Pashtuns, the successive Punjabi dominant dispensations have meted out similar atrocities on all. However, they are relentless in their demands and say they will not give up until their rights are restored. Recently, European cities of London and Geneva saw people of these origins holding anti-Pakistan demonstrations and urging the world to cut off their ties with Pakistan.
Sindhi Baloch Forum UK staged a protest demonstration outside 10 Downing Street during the visit of Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi. Huge number of Sindhi and Baloch protesters chanted slogans against Pakistan war crimes in Balochistan and Sindh. They demanded that UK must stop funding to Pakistan, which is run by a brutal regime killing its dissidents and suppressing its minorities.
We are here to tell Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the international community they don't trust Pakistan. Whatever is happening in Afghanistan, the basic reason for the destruction of Afghanistan is Pakistan. Pakistan has its own Afghanistan, it's in its own backyard, which is Balochistan and Sindh. There are worse human rights violations being committed by Pakistan.
All the aid, all the support, military, monetary, financial, diplomatic, that has been given to Pakistan. That is strengthened no one else, no other institution, neither parliament, nor judiciary, nor civil society. They have strengthened the military, and it is oppressive machine who are committing the crimes, literally crimes against humanity. They are committing genocide of Baloch people, Sindhi people, Pashtun people, Saraiki people. And not only that, the money that they were given to Pakistan to fulfill their certain strategic obligations, they didn't work for any Western, but they worked for their interest.
The protesters raised slogans about an enforced disappearances campaign run by the Pakistani intelligence agencies, which kidnaps journalists, political activists and anyone who dares to question them. They call it a sectarian genocide regime which is destroying the lives of Baloch, Hazaras, Hindus, Sikhs and Ahmadiyya minorities and have virtually made them refugees in their own land. The leaders of this protest intend to formally complain to British government and its parliamentarian about their silence in the duplicitous role of Pakistan in Afghanistan, which is unfolding into a humanitarian crisis.
What Pakistan has been doing, it has been telling lies, it has been showing the false picture of what is happening in Afghanistan, in Balochistan, in Sindh and in the other regions which are under Pakistan's direct or indirect control. So as a Baloch, as a representative of Baloch National Movement, we also through our protest, we are telling the world that now the Pakistan Army is using the counter-terrorism department special police force to kill Baloch missing persons. They are, it is in a way or shape a new form of the kill and dump policy of Pakistani state. So we want to tell the British Prime Minister and British ministers and everyone in power of the Western countries that they must not listen to Pakistan and they must support the indigenous people.
Representative of Sindhi Baloch Forum also submitted a petition urging Prime Minister Boris Johnson to stop supporting Pakistani state and put an end to the genocide of Baloch and Sindhi people.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
The machine-readable passport has been replaced with a new generation electronic passport by the Nepal government. The first copy of the passport was handed over to a 102-year-old historian as conferred with title Yug Purush Man of the Era, Dr. Satya Mohan Joshi. Foreign Minister Narayan Kharka presented the first ever copy of new electronic passport to Dr. Joshi as it plans to displace the earlier ones. Addressing the ceremony, Foreign Minister Kharka claimed lately issued passport of having improved security features. The lately formed administration under Sher Bahadur Deoba has handed over the contract to print the new ones to French firm IDE-MIA. The replacement of earlier 2010 issued machine-readable passports come as per the guidelines of the International Civil Aviation Organization. Government official claims it to have more security and safety measures than earlier issued ones.
Iranians are racing to exchange the country's currency, the rial, in Tehran weeks before nuclear talks with world powers is scheduled to restart. The rial declined another 2.8% in the past week, bringing the losses in the past 6 months to 31.5%. Iran's economy has suffered from sanctions reimposed after the American exit from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action during the former US President Donald Trump's administration. Markets in Tehran are full, but vendors raised concerns over the direction of the currency rates. Vendors say it has a lot of negative effects. They say the prices will rise further if the exchange rates rise. They also say that all their progress will doom. Talks on reviving the 2015 Iran nuclear deal are set to resume on November 29. Turkey has released an Israeli couple who it had detained over espionage charges for allegedly taking photographs of President Tayyip Erdogan's residence during a trip to Istanbul. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett had denied the spying charges against the couple, Mordi and Natali Oknin, saying they do not work for any Israeli agency. His government sent a senior emissary to Turkey to help work for their release. A Turkish court arrested the Israeli couple on November 12 on charges of espionage for taking photographs of Erdogan's residence from the Kemlika Tower, a telecommunications tower in Istanbul with observation decks, Turkey's state-run Anadolu agency reported. Anadolu said an employee tipped off the police after seeing the couple take pictures of the residence from the tower's restaurant. It said a Turkish national who was with the couple was also arrested on charges of political and military espionage.
Japanese companies are dedicated to provide ease to its customers with the use of newest technology in the country. Recently, Idemitsu Kosan has come up with a new business model where it is utilizing the existing 6,300 gas stations and it provides brain MRI facility in Japan. Also, Furukawa Electric Company has developed a unique service that contributes to infrastructure development using the location information and video of the drive recorder. Have a look.
Japanese company Idemitsu Kosan has come up with a new business model where it is utilizing the existing 6,300 gas stations in Japan. It is called Smart Yorozuya, which means one-stop shop and service. At gas station of Shizuoka Prefecture, a facility of brain MRI service is being provided. The purpose of this service at the station is preventive medical emergency, which will contribute in keeping good health of the people. The brain MRI is conducted by a surgeon using a remote medical treatment system. Applicants can get the report in a week online. If any abnormality is detected, it is to be treated at a regional medical clinic.
こうやって身近でいろんなことが受けられるってことは素晴らしいことなんでね、もっともっと広がるといいと思いますけど。
Not only health checkup, the gas station offers freshly cooked meat to its customers. The food truck here provides delicious one-plate meal.
地域住民のですね、新たなライフタイムバリューの一つ、生活を豊かにする選択肢の一つになり得るんじゃないかなと思ってですね、非常に有意義で面白い、企画というか事業だなというふうに感じました。
Idemitsu Kosan's new business project is a reflection of a social trend.
スマートよろずや構想というのを、掲げましたことは、まずカーボンニュートラルに、社会が向かっていく中で、従来のサービスステーションでは燃料の供給を通じて地域の皆様と密接につながってきました。これからは燃料の供給だけではなくて、地域で抱えている課題を解決して地域の皆様がより便利で豊かな生活が送れるようなことをサポートする拠点に役割を変えていきたい、こういう思いでスマートよろずや構想というものを考えました。私どものネットワークの効果を生かして必要なタイミングで必要な場所に必要なサービスが行くというようなコンセプトがスマートよろずやのスマートたるゆえんでございます。
従来のガソリンスタンドというイメージからは少しちょっと離れたような業態のサービスがこのように SS で実際に展開されて利用実績も上がっているというところを実際に目の当たりにしまして、これから実現可能なサービスの幅が大きく広がったなということを強く感じました。お客様が持つガソリンスタンドのイメージをどんどん変えていけたらというふうに思います。
Gas stations are within the reach of local residents, and Idemitsu Kosan recognized this fact and used it to develop their new business model. Japanese companies have been giving immense stress on technological innovations. Recently, Furukawa Electric Company has developed a unique service that contributes to infrastructure development using the location information and video of the drive recorder. Drive recorder is owned by most of the car users. Japanese traffic system and various facilities on the road were constructed from 1950 to 1970. It was an economically high growth period. Around 50 years ago, they were aged and some of them have the possibility of accident or collapse. Furukawa Electric provides a detecting system of aging for the municipal government and manager of road conditions. The Michiten service will improve the efficiency of the maintenance cycle for roadside equipment while using original digital transformation technology. Roadside equipment inspection charts will identify the type and position of equipment from video using an original robotic process automation system. And it creates a formal inspection chart as the equipment digital database.
ドライブレコーダーで取得した動画と色経度情報というのをまず基礎にして、そこから例えば道路付属物がこれが何の種類に当たるか、その損傷度合いがどうか、それの位置情報はどうか、地図上での位置はどうかといったさまざまな複数の情報というものを一つの情報になるようにデータをパッケージングします。実際の認識自体は人間の方が得意なので人間にやってもらう。ただしその後に情報をたくさん紐付けたり同一性を担保しながら紐付けるというところはシステムによるサポートを受けつつ1万2万といったデータで間違いなく情報を整理するということをしております。
Detailed information about aging materials is provided by inspectors. The information obtained is managed as data.
タブレットには前回の点検の内容が入っておりますので、今回の分と比較しながらどの分が腐食しているかなど比べることができ
A
ます。
support tool for efficient on-site inspection work is just a tablet device. It also simplifies the editing of inspection charts by automatic sorting of the captured image. Michiten's digital managing traffic condition is paid attention from local government and ministry that manage road condition.
道にあるものだったら何でも緯度経度情報と紐付けて対応できるということですので、アジアの複雑な道に行っても我々のシステムで何らかの管理というのをデジタルで提供することが可能だと考えております。
Furukawa Electric's original digital transformation technology and human know-how integration service Michiten contributes to keeping safe and sustainable traffic conditions.
Moving on, the definition of India is incomplete unless one dives into its cultural diversity. A composite society with contrasting traditions, majestic places of worship and festivals. Religious processions have been an inherent part of country's cultural landscape, especially the Hindu religion. Recently, a 10-day Alpasi festival at Sri Padmanabha Swami, the richest temple of India in southern Kerala state, concluded with biannual colourful procession Aratu, where priests paraded the idols of Hindu god Vishnu from the royal palace of Travancore to the temple. The vibrant Aratu procession witnessed a massive people participation in the biannual parade that was carried out around the country's richest temple, Sri Padmanabha Swami, in India's southern state of Kerala's capital, Thiruvananthapuram. Priests carried the idol of Hindu Lord Vishnu from the royal palace of Travancore to the temple, meeting the devotees from across the country and abroad along the journey. The primary attraction of the Aratu procession is the holy bathe given to deity at Shangumugham beach. The Aratu procession marks the end of Alpasi festival that begins from the temple and continues till the royal palace of King of Travancore, Marthand, near Shangumugham beach.
This procession is done twice a year, and the procession is meant for bhaktas who cannot go to the temples, and also it is not only for man but also for the trees and other animals also. Not only for animals, it is for trees also, because the trees also are bhaktas as per the Hindu philosophy, and so Bhagavan goes to the sea to take a bath.
The procession starts from the temple with the head of the Travancore royal family leading the procession with sword in hand. One gets to see caparisoned elephants as thousands of faithful devotees flock the streets to view this unique and historic sight.
I have heard about it a lot from my in-laws, and this is Alpasi festival, and I heard that it is done twice a year. So as you can see, it is beautifully decorated, and people are eagerly waiting to see it.
It is believed that tradition for the devotees to parade the gods across the city encapsulates the belief of deity witnessing the problems and grievances of their subjects. The Aratu procession makes the event more unique and marks it as one of the most significant festivals across southern India. It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.